The next bit of this project I'm going to work on is the spindle feed. So I'll be cleaning up all the bits and pieces just in my parch washer and probably clean them up with my wire brush. But for now I'm going to focus on the actual knob itself. So I'll go ahead and pull this all apart, then sandblast it and paint it. So I'd like to pull this completely apart so I can polish each part separately. And let's see if I can do that now. Well, it came apart very easily. I'm very happy with that. Something kind of interesting is that it looks like one of these bars was replaced. It doesn't quite match the others, and it's quite obvious that there's different knobs there too. But I'll probably just keep those the way they are for now. I don't think I'll replace those. So the fastest way to clean up something small like this little hub is to sandblast it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to do a little bit of a preliminary clean with some acetone here to prepare for some paint. And I'm just going to mask it off a bit. Now just another quick wipe down with some acetone. And I'll throw in the first coat of primer here. And I'm just going to pop some primer on the other side here. And I'm just bringing on the first coat of enamel paint here. And now the other side. And I'm just going to clean up these rods with the wire brush on the wheel here. So these rods for the handle are nice and clean again. I'm going to go ahead and just polish up all the rest of the little tiny bits for the spindle feed assembly here. And now the little taper pin. So this is the little knob that detensions the spring, the little sub-assembly. So I'm just going to reassemble this with some oil and some grease. Okay, so that's that little spring detentioner knob, and that's ready to be put back into the head. So here's the spindle feed shaft itself, and I'm going to go and clean that up with some acetone. Just going to see how it looks. Well, the shaft's still a bit grimy, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up on the wire brush a little bit more. So while I was cleaning up the shaft, I noticed that there's a pretty gnarly looking fix here. Apparently, at some point in the past, somebody broke off a few teeth here, and it looks like they brazed in some new metal and then just took a file to it and ground down the profile. I mean, it seems to be working just fine, so I'm going to let it be for now, but this is something to keep an eye on in the future. Another thing I noticed with this is that there's some pretty bad marks in here from the, I think from one of the set screws, so I'm going to go ahead and knock those off with a file. Just dress them down a bit so it's nice and flat. Okay, so this shaft isn't perfect, but it appears to be working when I had it in the machine, so I'm just going to let it be, and if there's a problem with it later on, I'll just deal with it then. Now these four parts, this is the rods for the handle and the cap that goes over the spring tensioner. I'm just going to leave those metal, so I'm just going to paint them with a little bit of clear coat just so they don't rust in the future. So this is the spring tensioner handle for the spindle feed, and I'm not even going to hit that with the wire brush. It's die cast metal. I'm kind of worried that it's so soft that I might scratch it up pretty bad. So also it's got the spring inside there, which I'm not going to pull out. So I'm just going to clean this up with some acetone, and I think that'll be all I'm going to do for this part. So even with the acetone, there's still a lot of old gunky grease on this. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up on my parch washer and see if that'll do a little bit better of a job. Well, I cleaned up a bit more, but I'm still not totally happy with it. But I might hit it on the wire brush, but yeah, we'll see. This is probably pretty good, actually. So I'm going to wash this out and then spray some oil on here so it doesn't rust. This had a few days to cure. I'm going to pull off these bits of masking and reassemble this feed here. So the threads in this hole are really bad looking. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but they're just all garfed up and rounded over. So I'm going to go ahead and chase these out with a tap real quick and see if I can improve this a bit. I'm going to clean up a lot of old junk that was there, so hopefully this should fit a bit better now. Okay, so there's the completed handle assembly. Okay, now I'm going to start reassembling this quill feed. I'm going to start by putting this shaft back in. Put a good amount of grease on it first. Alright. That went together nicely. And now I'm going to add this little collar that locks the shaft in place. Okay, now install the handle back on here. And now we're working on installing the spring tensioner here. And the tensioner lock here. I'll tap this cover back on. And there's one little set screw left. Well, it's starting to look even more like a drill press now. I got the quill feed installed and a tensioner for the quill feed with the release, so it's coming along real nicely. Thanks for watching.